then when we look at implementation duration, this is really interesting too, because this looks at the average implementation time that the customers that are implementing these solutions experience. And you can see the differences between the planned and actual here. And you can see that SAP and Oracle tend to have a fairly large gap in terms of their planned versus their actual implementation duration. And this is just important to note, especially when you're looking at proposals or proposed implementation plans from different vendors. You always want to take it with a grain of salt, because typically there's a lot of activities that aren't included in the vendor implementation plans, a lot of activities that you, the implementing organization, or your consultants might be responsible for. And so you want to make sure that you've added a grain of salt and a dose of reality to any sort of implementation plan you put together, whether it's SAP, Oracle, or Dynamics, or Infor, for that matter. But you can see that the biggest gaps there are between SAP and Oracle, and they're the ones that tend to go the longest beyond what's initially planned. And Microsoft Dynamics certainly has a fair gap there, but I think the bigger issue, or the bigger question or interesting metric there, is that their implementation duration for Microsoft Dynamics is actually higher than SAP, Oracle, or Infor. So they kind of lead, and not in a good way necessarily, but they lead in terms of having the longest implementation duration. And then Infor actually has the shortest implementation duration of the four, and interestingly enough, too, they also have the smallest delta between the actual and planned. So when you're looking at predictability of implementation duration, Infor would be the clear front runner in terms of which vendor or which product is going to have the most predictable implementation time frame. And the least predictable implementation time frame is going to be SAP, followed by Oracle, in terms of percentage of overrun there from planned versus actual.